we thankful for the plays that we saw?
I saw Larissa Fast Horse's The Thanksgiving play a few years ago at Playwrights Horizon, so I'm not really familiar with how the Broadway um, performance changes it, but it's a play about a group of would-be do-gooders who want to put on a politically correct holiday play for school children. Director Logan hires a professional actress from Los Angeles whom she believes is Native American. Alicia, the actress, is basically a white girl with some Spanish blood who can play many ethnic types. Logan's boyfriend, Jackson, a street performer who, like Logan, wants to confront his white privilege. And there's also Caden, an older history teacher who dreams of being a playwright. The three politicos struggle with the proper way to represent Native Americans when they themselves are not Native Americans. Is anything but silence appropriate? Only Alicia is untroubled by the problems of representing the other. She just wants to act, and hopefully in a really big part, because this is what she does best. Alicia knows that she's not bright. She's been tested, but is perfectly content. She tries to teach Logan the way of simplicity, but perhaps people who are too smart just cannot be content. The play is often genuinely fun, and the writing is witty. Singing turkeys are slaughtered, and puppet Indians and colonists sing about America. While the issues of how to write, study, and represent history are serious ones, the play lets us laugh about our efforts to do better. I gave it a happy.
Years has not changed this brilliant play. This is one of the best satires I've seen in a long time. The perfect cast are so believable in this outlandish comedy that I could not stop laughing. Katie Finneran's Herculean attempts to make the most out of an impossible situation and still be true to Oliver Grant and try and learn the hair flip is something to behold. To see Scott Foley's struggles with his white privileges, mollify his vegan girlfriend Logan, and still get away with eating cheese is dudeness at its best. And poor Chris Sullivan's only passion is to have grown-ups be in one of his plays. He may have all the facts, but he doesn't have a clue about romance, which makes him doubly appealing. And Darcy Carden's beautiful, dumb, over-the-top actress type who's even more self-aware than self-involved, and her Disney philosophy just might win you over. I was just howling, and I just gobbled up the Thanksgiving play, and I love this. I'm giving this a major, major happy face.
I also saw the Thanksgiving play at second stage and was not as much of a fan as Eva had expressed. I found it to be a show where the plot and tension really escalated quickly, and really went from people walking on the edge and trying to be politically correct to all of a sudden quite literally being at arms with one another. I found it to be just kind of out there and strange, and while people around me were laughing, I was really just kind of feeling out of place. There were a couple moments where I audibly laughed out loud, like really small details that I thought were intentional. And what I didn't realize at the time was what they used to change scenes were videos of school children singing in Thanksgiving um, shows. And I did not realize that these videos were actually not specifically produced for the show, but real videos of school children, which kind of highlights the irony that the whole show is trying to put forth. That there is, of course, a balance to being right and sensitive and politically correct. And it's also crazy to me how much I was unaware and unfamiliar with what's true to the Thanksgiving story. We're fed this narrative year after year, but what does it really mean? And I think that's something that we continue to grapple with culturally, like in coming to terms with what our history is and what the right way of doing that is. I think the messages the show raised and the conversation it tries to have is a worthwhile one. I just wasn't a fan of how it was done, and I really found it to be kind of just crazy and all over the place. So I give it a sad face.
But see, that was the appeal of it. I'm just curious because you are a young person. Did you ever go to fringe plays back in the day? Because if you had the see, you don't have the fringe mentality. If you had the fringe mentality, you understand like things going very quickly because you only have like an hour and 90 minutes to go from one thing, get your, it's like you're in town. It's just this completely crazy off the wall thing that goes over the edge. And it's like farce on speed. I mean, it's basically, it's like Peter Pan goes wrong and the play goes wrong. It's that sort of thing where it's like everything's speeded up and crazy and that's what Benny Hillish, and that's why I love it so much. And to have an American Indian playwright on Broadway, it's
I
just
didn't realize this that. Yeah, so that's like something
yeah,
yeah.
which makes this play mean is to me even more. But yeah, so that's why I just love this play so much.
3 weeks ago, I had the extreme pleasure to go to the Laurie Beechman Theater on 42nd and 9th and see Karen Finley in her new show. I don't even know the exact name. I was totally blown away by this performance. This performance is, it awakens all, everybody's been through COVID and loss. And it's all about let's party like it's 1945 after World War I. Let's party after World War II. And let's party after Kent State in 1970, or let's party after Vietnam after 1968. Let's party after 9/11. And it just brings back, the release of after some horrible situation and, some major infringement on our life. Okay, so anyway, Karen Finley changed my life in this performance. I mean, to change someone's life, and people around me turned and said, "I'm an old theater queen, and this changed my life. I feel better now. I feel better. I've been through COVID, and now I feel better." So if you don't get tickets, you are insane. You must get. She has 3 more. She's performing the 20th and then 2 performances. They're Saturday nights at 7:00. Get your tickets or die.
What makes it so special?
It makes it so special because it changes your life. It's not like I went to see Camelot. It was a big, effing yawn. This did something to me.
But what specifically?
Go see it. You'll find specifically what it was. It unleashes all this, this incredible thing that we've all been through, and then it gives you aftercare. She holds you in her arms and makes you want to go on and make art and make love and make music and make theater.
You should explain you have long COVID.
And yes, I had long COVID, and so this was really incredible for me. So I believe everyone should see it, especially artists. I give it a major, screamingly happy face.
David Auburn's Summer 1976 relates the friendship of 2 young mothers, Alice and Diana, in an Ohio college town during the summer of 1976. Initially, it was their daughters, Alice's girl Holly and Diana's Gretchen, that brought the 2 of them together. While the girls became best friends immediately, it took a lot longer for the mothers to kind of begin to like each other. Diana is a single, unmarried parent who comes from a moneyed background. She's an artist who is teaching art and is very snobbish about many things, but she's also an expert in 20th century high art and decorative art. Her home is tastefully decorated and meticulous. Alice is a faculty wife whose husband Doug works long hours and is totally dedicated to earning tenure. Alice herself reads bestsellers of little literary value. Her home is messy and filled with crappy furnishing. When the two women do see beyond their initial dislike, they begin to appreciate each other's strengths and vulnerabilities and help care for each other. Can they help each other move toward happiness? Will their friendship last beyond the summer? The two characters are complex, believable people, and the two actresses fully embody these interesting characters. They narrate the story from a viewpoint more than 20 years in the future. In their meeting in this kind of neutral corporate looking space, which is what we see on the stage. The lighting generally serves to indicate the time of day, but sometimes seems to echo their moods. The emphasis is on the well-written text and the brilliant actresses who deliver it. While there is nothing especially original about a two-character play in which the characters move from disliking each other to liking each other, their stories are so particularized and complete that the play feels fresh. To me, this is definitely a happy place.
Jessica Hecht and Laura Linney are two of our finest actresses, and to see them going at each other and developing this friendship on stage, you know they're actors, but you don't feel like it. And it's really a study of friendship. And it's so moving. And all of us have had a friend in our life that we thought we were going to be friends with forever. And is that going to happen, or is it not going to happen? Is there such a thing as a forever friend? And it's so moving, and it's so well told, and there's so many surprises. I mean, they're not cliche characters. They're not cut and dried. They're not just one thing. You keep seeing other sides and facets to them that surprise you, and you're constantly rooting for them, and you really care about them a lot. You get so invested in them that at the end you're almost surprised you're in a theater. You think you're like, at a lunch party, and these two people are telling you their story. I just love this. I'm giving this a major happy face too.
Now playing at New World Stages through June 11th is the limited engagement of Anthony Rapp, Without You. This show was a beautiful, touching, and moving production that serves as Anthony Rapp's memoir on the topics of loss, life, and love. It really serves as his reflection on his time from conception to Broadway run of Rent, and the subsequent losses of Rent's creator, Jonathan Larson, and Anthony Rapp's mother. It's an hour-and-a-half show. He's on stage for the entire time, accompanied by a 5-piece band. Of course, you're being teased with the melody of Seasons of Love throughout the entire show, and many other familiar performances from Rent. It's thrilling, it's heart-wrenching, it really tugs at every emotion. I really appreciated it, especially as somebody who would have been too young or somewhat unfamiliar with Anthony Rapp prior to this production. I was fully engrossed, and it was a wonderful introduction to him. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
There were original songs and compositions, not just by Jonathan Larson, but by Anthony Rapp himself, David Matos, and Joe Pisapia.
Tom Kidd also helped work on some of the orchestrations as well.
Orchestration, original composition, and musical direction by Daniel A. Weiss, with additional arrangements by Tom Cat, and this was directed by Stephen Mailer. So there, get all the technical stuff out of the way. Yeah, see, you're coming into him after Rent. I'm coming into Anthony Rapp when he was a little tiny kid. He was like 9 years old when he was on Broadway in the musical version of The Little Prince with Michael York as the aviator. And I've never forgotten this. I went with some friends from England, first Broadway show. The thing went on for 3 hours. It was like in preview. Michael York comes out in a bathrobe with and handed scripts, and he's just reading things. I mean, the thing was being written as it was going on. People were walking out in droves, but me and Polly stayed because it was Michael York and we loved him. And we thought that little kid was amazing. And I still remember one of the songs, and this is probably like 40 years ago. Beware of the baobab tree. So I have a interest in Anthony Rapp, and also with when he touched upon his brother and mentioned his brother Adam. I didn't know he had a sister Anne, because I learned out more about him than I ever knew before, because Adam Rapp is a famous playwright. And also I know Anthony Rapp because he does Broadway Con. Him and Mischief Makers started Broadway Con. So he's just an important part of the theater. But it was nice to hear about his mother and his relationship with his mother and his father and his family and everything about him. And of course Jonathan Larson. The whole story is just coming it from a friend and behind the scene point of view made it even more poignant. And the way he did the voices, it was just something so gentle and tender in his presentation. I absolutely love this. It was so good. And also you can write, who means a lot to you and put it up. There's all, if you have time, you could read all the note cards and everything. I know you did one for your grandfather. And me, I put down there too many to name. I mean, it's just really good. And you should not miss it. It's so good. This one, thank God, gets a major happy face.
As Eva mentioned, audience members are also invited to share messages of those they are without, which is a beautiful way of reflecting inwards and also seeing how other audience members reacted to the show as well. The room is filled not just with Anthony's story, but with beautiful projections behind him, both of photos from home and contextual images about every story he's describing. It's a really short and sweet production, and for that, I give it a happy face.
So I reviewed Gas, which is at Theater Row in Hell's Kitchen, and this is a horror play. It's adults only. It deals with war, specifically a fictional World War III, and symbols and allusions to the Gulf Wars 1 and 2 and the war in Ukraine currently ongoing. This is a horror play, and in my review, I gave it a happy face plus. This is full bars, but I said don't see it, knowing full well that if I forbid you from seeing this, you're going to want to see it more. It's going to scare a lot of people. I think this is an excellent play, and they really dive into the horrors of war. This is a horror play, and you don't see enough of these, and this was excellent. I definitely recommend it.
I caught it with Tamara Tunie, who is now in Bernarda's daughter, and I'm going to see it later. But Mark saw it now, and you'll get my review on the Facebook page. Maybe I'll like it more than Mark did.
The new group in National Black Theater present Bernarda's Daughters, written by Diane Xavier and directed by Dominique Ryder. It's not at all the dark, tense Lorca tragedy. Here it's 5 young Haitian American daughters of the same father talk of many things now in Brooklyn. I couldn't connect with this play at all. I didn't see much point in what they were talking about. So for me, it's an unhappy face.
Hello, here we are with
Tamara Tunie.
And the League of Professional Theater Women are going to have a little talk with you, or you're going to be preserved forever at the library.
I'm so honored. I'm so excited. It's March 17th, so if you're in
May 17th.
May 17th. Oh my God, March is my birthday. I'm caught up in my birthday. Yes, May 17th. May 17th. Yes, indeed. So I'm very excited.
And also, you're appearing in Bernarda Alba right now. Which daughter are you?
Yes. Well, it's Bernarda's Daughters is the name of the play, and I'm not the daughter, so you'll just have to come and see who I am.
Oh, And what else is going on in here? Oh, we should see we're at the Lortel Award. That's why you're so gussied up and looking gorgeous. Of course, you always do.
Thank you very much. Yes, we're here at the Lucille Lortel Awards to celebrate Off-Broadway.
Which you have been a mainstay of.
Thank you. Yes, I have. And I'm always very excited to do work off Broadway, which is generally, just a little more risky and a little more exciting than the commercial theater on Broadway. So it's always great to step into this world.
I agree totally. Enjoy the evening.
Thank you so much. You too.
Thank you.
Comedy of Errors by William Shakespeare is now playing at the Public Theater in the Astor Place, Union Square, New York University neighborhood, around 8th Street. I really like this play. The critical lens is a Latina and Latin American perspective. It's a critical lens on Shakespeare's classic. The plot tells the story of two identical twins who have identical twin brothers. So there's a quartet of twins, and they are mistaken for each other, and they may mistake each other for each other. And so a comedy of errors are the errors about the brothers and how they interact with other people when other people think that they are other people. So I was confused. You should be confused. They intersperse both Spanish and Elizabethan English. And when I started the play, I was very confused. At the end of the play, I was romanced by the brilliance of using this Shakespearean play to bring about a greater theme of noticing people and the nuances and the beauties of different cultures. And so I thought it was the most beautiful play I've seen in a very long time. This is an excellent play, very much recommended. And when I got out of the play, I actually met a guy on the street, and he was telling me that he was a twin. And I didn't know what to say to him. And I thought about it, and I said, wait a minute, you should see this play. And of course, everybody should see this play. But for whatever reason, I talked to a twin immediately after seeing a play about twins. I think this is a great one, Happy Face Plus, and I definitely recommend it.
NAATCO is currently doing Hansel Jung's new modern verse translation of Romeo and Juliet, and she just recently won a Lortel Award for Wolf play, which her director, Dustin Wills, also just won an award for Wolf Plays. This is not your usual Romeo and Juliet. This is hysterically funny. It is very, very, very bawdy. It's like juvenile little boy dick humor, and it had like interjects stuff like Purple Rain, and you had this, guys playing women parts, and I absolutely loved it. I thought it was funny, and I want to do audience etiquette now because Mark made me think of this. If you hate it and you're miserable and you're not enjoying yourself, don't rain on the parade of people who are enjoying themselves. Let them have a good time and stop being so pretentiously snobby and grumpy, and just keep your feelings to yourself and let us have fun. Mr. Pretentious Snob over here who hated it and made me feel like I couldn't enjoy myself fully.
Well, for me, this was one of the most excruciating experiences I've had in theater recently. It seemed to have almost nothing to do with Shakespeare's tragedy.
Thank
I found
God.
the acting so broad and so much like slapstick humor.
Which
at
would
its
appeal to the
absolute
groundlings of the
worst.
day.
It's absolute worst that there were very few things that I liked. I thought Mia Katterback actually created a character, and her humor was based more on wit than any sort of stupid juvenile shenanigans.
She played the
And
nurse.
the Romeo also I connected with because they had him play guitar, and he was sort of like a romantic bard. But basically it was 98% horror, and I detested that, and 2% I kind of loved. So for me, it gets an unhappy face.
I think it gets a major, major happy face for me. has lots of bawdy, raunchy, nasty stuff in it to appeal to the common masses, not these high lofty ideas that people think Shakespeare is, which is probably why I hate Shakespeare. And I love this. If people did Shakespeare the way it was supposed to be done in the day of Shakespeare, I probably, if I lived in Shakespeare's day, would have loved Shakespeare. So no, this is fun, fun, fun. I loved it. If you are a pretentious snob and love Shakespeare, then you will hate it like Mark. But
The Diary of Evelyn Brown is now playing at La Mama, and I very much like this play too. The play is a work of experimental theater because the words are directly from the primary source, the real Evelyn Brown, who lived in 1911 in a small farming community in New Hampshire. The horror of this play is when the narrator, Evelyn Brown, quietly and stoically explains that a lot of people are dying from a mysterious fever. And because this was before antibiotics, we know it could have been any number of tuberculosis, red fever, typhus, and malaria. I mean, we don't know. And so there's a horror here, and it's a quiet horror. And against this, the dramaturgist and the director show the work that Evelyn Brown was doing by sweeping and mopping, setting places at the dinner table, and basically taking care of her entire community on a farm in New Hampshire. And I brought in my review a philosophy idea of the pharaoh's tuberculosis. The idea is if an ancient Egyptian 5,000 years ago had tuberculosis, he really wouldn't know. It's we in the 21st century who call the pharaoh's disease tuberculosis. And at that moment, 5,000 years ago, the pharaoh would have believed it was, Sun Ra. It was one of the gods infecting his lungs. Now, you could extrapolate. You could say Evelyn Brown didn't know she was living in a sexist society. And so this play is absolutely effective. I give it a happy face plus. Check it out. You'll definitely like it.
hello, our next show will be June 17th. And meanwhile, there's the Theater World Awards, there's the Tony Awards coming up, and there's a whole bunch more, which we'll put on the Facebook page because we've run out of time for the takeout. So basically, go to the Facebook page because there's a lot of plays going on between June 3rd and June 17th that you don't want to miss.